I remember that day like it's burned into my brain. The room was dead silent, and I was sitting there, staring at the top of my math test, a big, bold 100%. I should have felt proud, right? I should have smiled, maybe even let out a little laugh of relief. But instead, I felt this heavy knot in my chest, because I already knew what was coming. Mr. Aldridge, our math teacher, just stood there at the front holding my paper like it was radioactive. He looked at me, no, through me, and said, "This is impossible." Some kids laughed. Others just looked confused. I sat there gripping the edge of my desk, trying not to let my hands shake. "What do you mean, impossible?" He crossed his arms. "No one has ever scored a perfect 100 on my advanced test. And suddenly, you do, by that much." His eyes narrowed like he was trying to solve me instead of the math. Let's be real. This wasn't just about the test. It was about who I was. A black girl from the part of town people like him avoided. Someone he barely called on all semester, even though I always raised my hand. Meanwhile, kids like Logan and Madison, always praised, always seen. "I studied," I told him. "You gave us the review sheet, and I worked through every problem. I took this seriously." He cut me off, sharp as a blade. "I don't believe it. There's no way you got this score fairly." And just like that, the room shifted. Gasps, whispers, that little smirk from Logan's side of the room, Madison pretending to be shocked. But she couldn't even hide the grin on her face. "You're accusing me of cheating?" I said, trying to keep my voice from cracking. "I am," he snapped. That was it. That was the moment I felt it. That hot flush of humiliation rising up my neck. I wanted to disappear, but I also wanted to scream. "I've always been good at math," I said, louder this time. "I worked hard. I earned this." "Then prove it," he barked, slapping a blank sheet of paper on my desk. "Do it again, right now." I looked at the paper, then back at him. My heart was pounding. Not because I couldn't do it. I could. But this wasn't about the test. This was about him trying to make me feel small. And I wasn't gonna let him. "Why don't you ask Logan or Madison to redo their answers?" I asked. "They didn't score perfect, you did." I met his gaze and said, "Maybe you just can't handle that a black girl beat your favorite students." The air got sucked out of the room. No one spoke. Mr. Aldridge's face turned red, like actually red. "I'm reporting this to the principal," he hissed. "Your grade is invalid." Then he crumpled my test and tossed it onto his desk like trash. Just when I thought it couldn't get more humiliating, the classroom door opened. Principal Evans walked in, calm, serious, and sharp as ever. He looked around and said, "Mr. Aldridge, can I speak with you?" "Outside." Aldridge looked like he wanted to argue, but Evans just raised a hand. The kind of silent power that didn't need to shout. Aldridge followed him out like a scolded child. And then, the room erupted in whispers. Logan leaned toward me, chuckled, "Guess your little scam didn't work, huh?" I didn't respond. I just stared at the door, heart thudding in my chest. A minute later, Evans came back, alone. "Miss Carter," he said, "come with me, please." I stood, legs shaky, grabbed my bag, and followed him out. Ms. Liu, the school counselor, was waiting with a laptop on a rolling cart. On the screen was footage from the classroom's security camera. Evans looked at me and said, "Do you know what this is?" "Yeah," I said. "That's the camera from our class." He hit play. The video showed Mr. Aldridge that same morning, flipping through our graded tests before class even started. When he reached mine, he just stared at it, shook his head, said to himself, "No way she's that smart." Then he picked up his phone, typed something, and slammed my test down like it insulted him personally. Evans paused the video. "We've reviewed more footage. This wasn't the first time he's acted like this." Ms. Liu looked at me gently. "You're not in trouble, but he definitely is." And right then, like clockwork, Aldridge stormed out of the classroom. "This is ridiculous," he barked. "That footage doesn't prove anything. You're really going to believe her over me?" Evans didn't flinch. "No, I'm believing the evidence." Aldridge's voice rose. "You can't be serious." "You're suspended, effective immediately." Security showed up. Aldridge looked around like he was waiting for someone to speak up for him. But no one did. He walked out, furious, alone. Evans turned to me. "Miss Carter, you've also earned yourself a full-ride scholarship." I blinked. "Wait, what?" "We reached out to several academic organizations. They were impressed by your resilience, your intelligence, and your strength." I just stood there, stunned. Miss Liu handed me a tissue. I didn't even realize I was crying. By lunch, everyone at school had heard. Some people were shocked. Others? Not so much. I sat in the cafeteria, scrolling through messages on my phone. Most were supportive. But then, Logan got up from his table across the room. "Biggest scam of the year," he muttered. Madison smirked, like it was a joke they shared. Then Logan turned to me. "Tell us, Zoe, how does it feel to play the victim and get rewarded?" I stood up, calm, steady. "You know what's funny?" I said. "Y'all only get loud when a black girl wins." Logan scoffed. "You cheated. You went crying to the principal instead of proving you earned it." "No," I said, taking a step toward him. "I did prove it. The only one exposed here was Mr. Aldridge." He opened his mouth, but I kept going. "Tell me, Logan, where was my luck when I was ignored in class all year? Where was my privilege when I had to study twice as hard just to get noticed?" I paused. "Maybe you're just mad I outsmarted you." And just like that, the whole cafeteria went quiet. Logan turned red and walked off. Madison followed. The next morning, the whole school packed into the auditorium. Principal Evans got on stage and made it clear Aldridge was suspended for a pattern of bias, not just one mistake. "But more importantly," he said, "this is about changing the culture of our school." Then he looked at me. Zoe Carter didn't just stand up for herself. She stood up for fairness. For every student who's ever felt overlooked. He announced my scholarship in front of the whole school. The applause was loud, real. A few teachers even wiped away tears. I stood there, not as the girl accused, but as the girl who overcame. So yeah, sometimes the system tries to break you. Sometimes it does everything to make you feel small. But sometimes the truth comes out loud. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated? Have you ever seen someone fight back against injustice and actually win? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it.